Golden State Media Concepts social media podcast. Time to hashtag everything. We talk about all the fun, crazy stories on social media. From Instagram to Facebook, Twitter to Tumblr, or probably even Friendster. Join us each week as we explore the quirky side of social media. It's the Golden State Media Concepts social media podcast.
It's simple, such a sad song. The one that we rely on to get us.
Hello, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of the GSMC Social Media News Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Shamaria Jackson, and in today's episode, we're going to be talking about the little sarcastic quote that our President Donald Trump stated. We're also going to be talking about French Montana versus Young Thug, or in French Montana's mind, French Montana versus Kendrick Lamar. We're going to be talking about Tekashi 6ix9ine, Doja Cat, Jussie Smollett, and a lot more, all in today's podcast. I cannot wait to tell you all of your social media news that you need to know following the rest of today. So stick around. There is a lot more to come. All right. Now, I know in the past, everyone is getting so sick and tired of this COVID-19. People, like I stated in my last podcast, are fighting and protesting to get out of the house so that they can open up their businesses back and they can have things back to normal. But our President Donald Trump stated that he feels like there should be a type of injection that people should have so that they can, go back to being normal, especially if they have the COVID-19, something that fights the injection. So Donald Trump suggested that people could get an injection of disinfectant to cure themselves of the coronavirus. Yes. Our President of the United States, our President Donald Trump, said, quote, "We need to have a type of injection to fight off this infection." And he suggested Lysol. Okay, so we're talking about household cleaning products here, okay? Household cleaning products that you go around and clean around the house. He was saying this because it gets in your lungs and you cough or whatever, because it's so strong, okay? Actually, Donald Trump said, quote, "I see the disinfectant that knocks it out in a minute, 1 minute. And is there a way we can do something like that by injection inside or almost a cleaning? As you see, it gets in the lungs. It does a tremendous number on the lungs. So it would be interesting to check that." End quote. Donald Trump actually said that in a White House news conference on Thursday, April 23rd. So remember, this is the President of the United States. So there are a million people who look up to him and who take what he says to heart. So with that being said, Lysol had to come out and respond after the suggestions that Donald Trump stated. To which the owner, Richard Benchker, he is the United Kingdom-based owner of Lysol. He actually had to warn against the disinfectant product being used inside of the body. And he ended up saying, quote, "As a global leader in health and hygiene products, we must be clear that under no circumstance should our disinfectant products be administered into the human body. As with all products, our disinfectant and hygiene products should only be used as intended and in line with usage guidelines." Please read the label and safety information. I just find it so sad that the owner of Lysol had to go out and say, hey, please don't do this. Please don't inject this in your body. Because like I stated before, there are so many people that take what Donald Trump said to heart and actually acts on it. So they could inject themselves with Lysol. This is crazy, just so that they can fight off the potential risk of catching the COVID-19. Now, even the Environmental Protection Agency had to go out and say, never apply the product to yourself or others. Do not ingest disinfectant products, end quote. It's just so sad that you have to go out and you have to tell people not to do this. So when Donald Trump started to receive more backlash on his suggestion, both online and from the owner of Lysol as well as the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, when he started to receive backlash for that, he ended up saying it was a joke. I was being sarcastic. But when you look back and you saw, him sitting down in his conference, he was actually very serious. And that's one thing that I just don't like. If you're being serious on something, stick by it and say, you know what, it sounds dumb, but is there a way that we can have it not be deadly? Just stick by what you said. I feel like Donald Trump was thoroughly embarrassed. But as far as this Lysol incident, I feel like Donald Trump should have thought before speaking, which is why he had so much backlash, because he wasn't thinking before he was speaking, which led him into which led him down this road of, please don't listen to what he has to say. Please don't listen to that suggestion. Again, I think he understands the power that he has of having people actually listen to him and take what he says to heart. Whereas I think he understands, but I don't think he's comprehending that there's so many people that will take what he said to heart. So like I stated before, they're going to go out, they're going to inject themselves with Lysol, and that's going to be an even deadlier version. And when asked, why did you inject yourself with Lysol? President Donald Trump said that it would be a good idea because of the lungs or whatever. It's sad to say, but that is, it's sad to say. Coming up after the break, we're going to now dive into some real life drama. Celebrity drama, that is. Celebrity drama has been brewing all on social media. And whom am I to leave you guys without some celebrity tea, some celebrity gossip, without celebrity beefs? Come on now. So what we're going to first talk about after the break is Tekashi 6ix9ine. Yes, Tekashi 6ix9ine is back in the news after being released from jail. I'm going to talk to you guys about him right after this break. Coming right up.
You really can't underestimate the importance of having the right creative work for your brand or your product. Whether it's a logo, a website, a book cover, or an ad campaign, you really need a quality design to make that big difference pop and deliver your overall engagement and success in a competitive market. That's where Design Crowd comes in. Design Crowd has over 750,000 designers from Sydney to San Francisco, ready to help you with awesome creative ideas. They make crowdsourcing work for you. So if you need a logo or you're working on your creative branding, you can go to designcrowd.com and post a brief describing the design you need. And then within about 2 to 7 days, you'll receive up to over 100 different designs from designers around the world. Then you pick the best design and approve payment to the designer. So you're only paying for the design that you want. It takes a lot of the guesswork out of freelancing, and out of crowdsourcing. And you don't have to be a huge company like Harvard Business School to use Design Crowd, although they have used it as well. You can start a project on Design Crowd for as little as $99. And if you go right now to designcrowd.com/health and wellness or enter the promo code health and wellness on their website, then our health and wellness listeners will receive up to $150 off of your design project. That's designcrowd.com/health and wellness or entering that promo code health and wellness.
Do you want to be healthier, yet you just don't know what to do? All these shows telling you this and that, but nothing seems to work. Well, listen close. Golden State Media Concepts has got something great for you. The Health and Wellness Podcast, dedicated to workout trends, healthy eating habits, diet, and everything about healthy living. Join us in our banters as we help you not just live life to the fullest, but live it to the healthiest.
All right, guys, welcome back. So before the break, we were talking about Donald Trump and his suggestions, or in his case, what he said was a sarcastic remark in saying, hey, why don't we inject people with disinfectant to get rid of this virus? And he suggested Lysol in this case, to where Lysol had to go in and say, please don't do this. It's just crazy, like I said, that, you know, someone with such power would say something like this without really thinking about it, and knowing that a lot of people take what he said to heart and will run with it. So I talked about that, but right now I wanted to switch cases and talk a lot about a lot of celebrity news, a lot of celebrity gossip that has been going on. So I'm going to talk about now Tekashi 6ix9ine. So those of you guys who do not know who Tekashi 6ix9ine is, he was he wasn't a big rapper, but he was very much known around a lot of teenagers, okay? He is what I like to call a mumble rapper. I'm just going to call it what it is. He was a mumble rapper. And he got in very big trouble last year for gang-related issues. And then he ended up like snitching everyone out. And so a whole bunch of people got sent to jail. Anyway, he was released from jail because of his cooperation. Tekashi 6ix9ine is back in the news. So why is he back in the news? As we all know, Tekashi has been out of prison for weeks now. So there's obviously no reason why he should be all over the social media news. There's always a catch to this story. We all know that. So, Tekashi 6ix9ine's baby mama, aka the mother of his child, she is saying that he is still ghosting their kid, but he says that he is not doing that at all. So for those of you guys, first off, who do not know what ghosting is, ghosting basically means that he has stopped showing up, stopped calling, stopped responding to texts. He's just not there. He has vanished. And so she is saying that Tekashi 6ix9ine has started doing just that to their daughter, okay? So the rapper's ex, Sarah Molino, she stated, quote, Tekashi has shown little to no interest in reconnecting with Soraya, end quote. So Soraya is Tekashi 6ix9ine's daughter, okay? And she also stated she wasn't expecting him to change out of nowhere, but she's still disappointed by the radio silence, end quote. She is grateful, however, because Tekashi's mother is actively trying to keep a bond alive with the little girl. So she actively comes around. She actively sees her daughter. There's just something so intimate about being with a person one-on-one and face-to-face. So yeah, you can see them over a screen, over FaceTime, over Skype, but there's something just so intimate about being in the same setting as a person. So I think that's what Sarah was trying to say. So Sarah says Tekashi, while still incarcerated, reached out to her mother to set up a neutral location for his mom to meet Soraya. That apparently went off without a hitch, but Sarah says right before Tekashi was set to be released, his mom cut off communication and went off the radar. Rumor is the only reason he hasn't reached out and attempted to connect yet is because he wants the coronavirus pandemic under control first, as he wants to put his child's safety first. Allegedly, Takasha is claiming Sarah's begging to get back with him, suggesting he's afraid she's using their daughter as a ploy to reunite. For now, Sarah says Takashi's mother is still welcome to visit her granddaughter, but a daddy-daughter reunion seems to be on the back burner. So what are my opinions about this? I've always felt like Tekashi 6ix9ine's baby mama, mother of his child, whichever one you want to call him, I've always kind of felt like she was a clout chaser. For those of you guys who don't know what clout chaser is, that basically means that she'll do anything to be on mainstream. And so I felt like that after Tekashi was sent to prison, she started dating other rappers. She started talking to other rappers. She started putting Offset on blast. Offset is from the Migos. And she was just saying and doing a lot. And so now that Tekashi is out, I think he just wants to distance himself from her. But this is the sucky part, okay? They have a child together. And so the issues that you have with that woman should not affect that child. So you can have whatever issues you want with that child, with that mom, but when it comes down to that child is innocent. So I feel like she's the one who is mainly getting affected in all of this. Past, Sarah doing what she has to do to make sure that her name is still alive. Because a lot of what people don't realize is that being a celebrity and being in that limelight is a drug, because you always want to be in people's mouths. You always want to have attention. So I felt like that is the case with Sarah. When Tekashi was when Tekashi was giving the names to gang members out, or when his name was all on the news and everything because of what he has done, Sarah was right there because Sarah's name was getting put out into the world. Okay, so she was where people went to look and see. So I think she just got addicted to that. And so I think Tekashi, like I said, is just trying to change his life around. He doesn't really want to do what he has done in the past, because obviously he doesn't want to be in that same situation. That, and ever since all of this stuff occurred, there has been threats on this man's life. So I think he is trying to keep himself safe, his family safe, and his daughter safe. That, and maybe, just like he said, he does not want to get back with Sarah because he sees what kind of person she is. Which is why I also believe that you have to really look at who you are laying with. Okay? Do you want to have a child with this said person? Have you really sat down and looked at that person? And if you look back and you're just like, oh, I like her, but that's lust talking. But if you really love that person's going to love you through and through. And I don't see it. I didn't see it. What I do like, however, is the fact that, Tekashi's mom came out and saw her granddaughter. She wanted to have that bond with her granddaughter. She obviously knew how important it is to have a relationship with, her grandchild. And I think maybe she is trying to talk that out with Tekashi. But I'm not sticking up for Tekashi. I'm just stating a little bit of facts. But the same way that I'm getting on to her, I'm going to get on to him, which is, okay, so you're saying that the only reason you're not going to go and visit your daughter is because of the COVID-19. But in the past, you've done the exact same thing. So in this case, I don't think it's because of the COVID-19. I just don't think he wants to be a dad yet. So it just turned out that Tekashi 6ix9ine actually asked for a permit. He asked his judge for a permit so that he can shoot his music video. So I don't think that it's him trying to spend time with his daughter, especially if he's going to a judge and asking a judge for a permit to shoot his music video, where possibly a lot of people are going to be. A majority of his videos, it has a lot of, it doesn't have a lot of, well, yeah, it has a lot of people, or he's hugged up with different women. So in this case, I don't think it has anything to do with COVID-19. I think he doesn't want to spend time with his daughter because of the woman he chose to have a child with. So that's how I feel about the whole thing. So in this case, you can blame both ends. You can blame her for wanting to be a clout chaser and wants her name in the limelight, but she also wants the father of her child to step up and be a dad. But in this case, you have this man saying, oh, it's the COVID-19. That's the only reason why I'm not doing this. But in the same inst, he's done this stuff before. So both people are at fault here. And the only people that are on the right is obviously the grandmother, because she's doing the best that she can to spend time with her granddaughter. But the only innocent person here is, like I said, the daughter. She doesn't have an option in this. She didn't get to choose who her parents are. She didn't get to choose to come in this world. She is the only innocent one. So in this case, I think both people need to put their pride aside, and both people, need to do the best they can to raise this daughter, to the best of their ability. And with that being said, that is the end of this segment. There's only so much I can talk about this situation. I do wish Tekashi the best going on in 2020 and in the rest. And I also wish the same thing for Sarah. And the only reason that I'm wishing them the best is so that they can raise their daughter to the best of their ability as well. All right. So like I said, that is the end of this segment. Coming up in the next segment, we're going to be discussing another said rapper, French Montana versus Young Thug. Or in this case, French Montana versus Kendrick Lamar? Question mark. All of that coming up after this break.
I want to talk to you guys about this amazing product I've been using lately called Hydrant. If you're like me and you want to kick the coffee habit, but you're worried about your energy levels depleting, to avoid the morning sluggishness and that midday slump, you need to make sure you're hydrated. It's super important. And that's where I've been using Hydrant. And for 25% off your first order, you can go to drinkhydrant.com and enter promo code GSMC at checkout. Hydrant is basically flavored electrolyte packets you mix directly into your water to make hydrating your body easy and delicious. And what I love about Hydrant, it's backed by research. The formula was developed by Oxford scientists to provide perfectly balanced, efficient hydration. Again, that's drinkhydrant.com and enter promo code GSMC for 25% off your first order. Another really cool thing about Hydrant, there's no synthetic colors or artificial sweeteners. The formula is vegan and you can choose between 3 different flavors or a variety pack. So for all my vegan friendly fellows out there, this one's for you. Again, this is drinkhydrant.com and enter promo code GSMC.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Welcome back. So the last segment, I was talking to you guys about Tekashi 6ix9ine and how he's basically getting dragged on social media by the mother of his child because he hasn't been spending time with his child. And I was also telling you guys about how he is claiming that it's because of the COVID-19 and he just wants his daughter to be safe. And at first I was like, oh, that's so sweet, you know. But then Sarah, the mother of his child, stated he has done the same thing in the past before he has went to prison. And news has just surfaced that he has just asked a judge for a permit so that he can shoot his music video. So things just aren't lining up with him actually wanting to do the daddy duties. That is the end of this one. In this next segment, I wanted to talk about French Montana versus Young Thug. Or in French Montana's mind, it's actually French Montana versus Kendrick Lamar. Okay, I'm going to break it down a lot for you. All of these three artists are rappers, okay? You have French Montana, who is a rapper, Young Thug is a rapper, and you have Kendrick Lamar, who is a rapper, okay? French Montana is an American-Moroccan rapper. French Montana is, he rapped certain songs like Unforgettable, Welcome to the Party, and No Stylist, okay? If Welcome to the Party sounds familiar, it was actually one of the singles on the soundtrack of Deadpool 2, okay? Kendrick Lamar is a rapper from California. He is actually a very, very well-known rapper. He was the one who put together the Black Panther soundtrack, and he is a very talented man, okay? I'm actually a very big fan of Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole. I'm not going to talk about J. Cole today, but I'm going to talk about Kendrick Lamar today. And the thing that I like about Kendrick Lamar is he puts time and effort into all of his lyrics, and each lyric has a meaning, okay? In every one of his songs. I think he became famous, Kendrick Lamar became famous by his song Swimming Pools. AKA Drink, and he became so famous because of that, not only because of the beat but because of the lyrics. Each lyric was saying something, okay? And that's with not only just that one song, it's with all of his songs. So where does Young Thug come in this? Young Thug is another rapper, like I just stated, and he is from Atlanta, Georgia. Okay. So I've just given you background. I've just answered a bunch of your questions. So why are all three of these rappers in some type of argument? French Montana, as we all know, on Instagram Live, there has been this friendly competition of who is the best producer, the best songwriter. And as we all know, we have seen, or I've told you guys about the Teddy Riley versus Babyface. I've told you guys about Neo versus Jonte Austin, okay? And then just, I believe on my last podcast, I was telling you guys that it was French Montana versus Tory Lanez. Well, French Montana has stated that he personally feels that he can beat Kendrick Lamar. And with him saying what he said, it it blew social media's mind. Everyone was talking about it. And I have to say, even I was talking about it, because there is just in no way, shape, or form is that even anywhere remotely true, okay? Here are the actual stats, okay? So Kendrick Lamar, he has 8 top 10 hits, whereas French Montana has 2 top 10 hits. Kendrick Lamar has 48 Hot 100 entries, whereas French Montana has 17 Hot 100 entries. Multi-platinum certified hits, okay? Kendrick Lamar has 10, whereas French Montana has 2. So there is, a such thing as being confident in yourself and saying, I am the best rapper, because you're being confident in yourself. No one's going to love you more than you, okay? No one's going to take care of you more than you, okay? But in this case, we have to call it what it is, which is French Montana is a good rapper, to some people, but in no way, shape, or form is he better than Kendrick Lamar. There's just no way at all. 0. Zip. I don't want to hear it. And I think that's another reason as to why, Young Thug got into the situation. Young Thug actually said, quote, "You don't got nowhere near more hits." The two actually got into a heated discussion on Instagram on Wednesday, April 22nd. So it all started when, French Montana said that he believed, obviously, he was on the same level as Kendrick Lamar in terms of hits. French Montana said, quote, "If we just talking about anthems, me versus Kendrick Lamar for hit. Believe I can go neck to neck. Been making hits for a long time. It ain't my fault. I believe in myself." He wrote that on Twitter on Tuesday, April 21st. He also stated, quote, "How was I supposed to answer that question? How many times I got to prove myself before I get mine?" End quote. So after receiving a wave of criticism for his comments, French Montana stepped back in and he said he was nothing but love for Kendrick Lamar. But he also wants people to acknowledge his catalog. He said, quote, "I love Kendrick. That's not just for Kendrick. That's to anybody that put in front of me and to ask me the same question, what you want me to say. It should be your attitude too. If you think anything less of yourself, don't blame it on the next person who doesn't. Set it up." End quote. Okay, so in this statement, I do have to go on and agree with French Montana. If you believe that you are talented and if you believe that you can take the best person ever, that's all about having confidence in yourself. However, you know me. If you are not good, if you're good, but you're not at the same level as another person, I feel like instead of saying, "Oh, I can go neck to neck with that person, I can take this person," you have to show us, okay? Because actions speak louder than words. I have not heard a lot of hits from French Montana, okay? French Montana, I know 2 songs off the bat. The rest of them you'll hear every now and again, but then it just fades very quickly. And the thing is with Kendrick Lamar is he's also a lyricist, okay? So that means that his lyrics and his lifestyle and the way he was raised and the way he presents himself sets people up to where they see him. When they see Kendrick Lamar, they see a very talented young man who can rap his behind off about just anything. And they also see someone who's not really in the spotlight, but just holds himself up with such he just holds himself up with such respect, okay? Whereas with French Montana, you notice he does these little antics to get himself on social media. And in this case, it just kind of wipes people from really wanting to listen to him and to see his talent. That and his talent gets erased very quickly because he does these things that people can dance to really quickly, but they forget about it, okay? He's not a very good rapper. He has had like 2 hits, maybe 3. But I mean, as far as him being at the same level as Kendrick Lamar, no. Do I feel he needs to work on that a little bit more? Yes, especially if he wants to have a song that people are going to want to listen to more than once or twice. Okay, do you feel like Kendrick Lamar is the better rapper, or do you feel like French Montana is the better rapper? You can go on and let us know by responding to us on any of our social media handles, and we'll be sure to mention that. Coming up after the break, however, we're going to be talking about Doja Cat and her opening up about the Barbs. Do you know who the Barbs are? Do you not know who the Barbs are? Either way, I'm going to let you guys know who they are and why Doja Cat is going to speak out about them after this break. Stay tuned.
You really can't underestimate the importance of having the right creative work for your brand or your product. Whether it's a logo, a website, a book cover, or an ad campaign, you really need a quality design to make that big difference pop and deliver your overall engagement and success in a competitive market. That's where Design Crowd comes in. Design Crowd has over 750,000 designers from Sydney to San Francisco ready to help you with awesome creative ideas. They make crowdsourcing work for you. So if you need a logo or you're working on your creative branding, you can go to designcrowd.com and post a brief describing the design you need. And then within about 2 to 7 days, you'll receive up to over 100 different designs from designers around the world. Then you pick the best design and approve payment to the designer. So you're only paying for the design that you want. It takes a lot of the guesswork out of freelancing and out of crowdsourcing. And you don't have to be a huge company like Harvard Business School to use Design Crowd, although they have used it as well. You can start a project on Design Crowd for as little as $99. And if you go right now to designcrowd.com/health and wellness or enter the promo code health and wellness on their website, then our health and wellness listeners will receive up to $150 off of your design project. That's designcrowd.com/health and wellness or entering that promo code health and wellness.
Want to find out what movies to go see? Then check out the GSMC Movie Podcast. It's your ticket to the latest movies, whether it's a new blockbuster event, romantic, comedy, or action flick. This show has got it all covered. They talk some what to go see now. Don't bother. What's hot on Netflix and everything in between. That's GSMCpodcast.com/movie-podcast. When it's all about the movies, it has to be this new show. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
Hey everyone, welcome back. So before the break, we were talking about French Montana and how he believes he is a better rapper than Kendrick Lamar. We broke down as to why him and Young Thug were actually beefing against one another, not only on Twitter, but on Instagram. Right now, I wanted to switch gears and talk about why Doja Cat has opened up about why Nicki Minaj fans were attacking her on Twitter. If you guys do not know who Doja Cat is an American, South African singer, rapper, songwriter, and record producer. In 2018, Doja Cat rose to prominence and internet fame with the virtual music video for her song Moo, which ultimately set the tone for her career. Doja Cat in her career has always said that she wants to kind of make fun of music, but she obviously loves music. And you can obviously tell by all of her songs that are strategically written and produced. So why is she in the news? Well, recently she felt the wrath of the Barbs. If you guys do not know who the Barbs are, those are Nicki Minaj fans. And she felt all of the wrath on Twitter after an exchange with a troll went extremely left and caused the fan base to viciously not only attack her, but attack that fan. So during a recent interview with Apple Music's Zane Lowe, the rapper/singer explained the debacle that all started when she came to the defense of a male user who was being attacked by Nicki Minaj's stans over a piece of fan art that he commented on. Doja Cat stated, quote, "He saw this art that someone drew of me, Nicki, and Meg in that order. So Nicki was in the middle, and it was a Rolling Stone cover, but Nicki was in the middle, rightfully so. Meg was on the right, and I was on the left. And this guy commented, I'd like to see Doja in the middle. And then someone commented to him, gosh, man, men these days, they're so messy. They just want problems all the time. And I saw that comment, and I was like, God, you have to bring like someone's gender into stuff, and that's what makes you look stupid." End quote. Doja urged the fan to ignore the Barbs, who continued to attack him over the photo, despite him reiterating that he has nothing against Nicki Minaj, but he simply wanted to see Doja in the middle of the photo. So again, Doja Cat stated, quote, "So then I came in and I said, dude, stop responding to these people. They're scum. They're so awful. Stop talking to them. They have nothing good to say to you or anybody else." End quote. However, as we all know, you can't go onto Twitter and say something like that with the Barbs. So, this response did not go over well with the Barbs, who immediately begun to assume that Doja hated the fan base, which would then mean that she does not like Nicki Minaj. According to the incident, quickly after there was a tag that was quickly created, which was Doja Cat is over party, and that began trending on Twitter, with Nicki Minaj fans soon beginning to bash Doja Cat. But Doja put the rumored beef to bed, summing up the entire situation to a misunderstanding. So what is my opinion on this? After looking at the said picture that they were talking about on Twitter, I was very confused. He was just simply saying, you know what, this is good. I would like to see Doja Cat in the middle. Just trying to create little conversation, saying what he would like to see. So he's not saying that it's a bad piece of artwork. He's just saying, why don't you just switch Nicki Minaj and Doja Cat so Doja is the middle and Nicki is on the left. And for Barbs to just go so hard to want someone's career to end and to just to such extremes, I have to say, I don't really like it. It sounds kind of crazy to me, actually. I hate the fact that this happens with a lot of big people's fan bases. I feel like the worst out of all of them are Beyonce's Beehive. They actually make people lose their jobs. But with Nicki Minaj fans, these Barb fans, I don't think they really have anything to yell or argue on, okay? So with Nicki Minaj fans, it's just kind of like anything goes. And in this case, this guy, again, wasn't saying anything bad to Nicki Minaj. He wasn't saying anything bad to any of them, actually. He just was simply stating, I would like to see Doja Cat in the middle. Now, do I feel like he should have responded? No. I feel like he should have, at one point, just put it on mute and just left it alone. It's so crazy how people can take something that is not even worth arguing or not even worth threatening or starting a fight over, how it can like quickly develop into something so severe. And in this case, that is exactly what happened in this case. And then at the same time, you don't know where someone is mentally as well. So if Doja Cat came to the defense of this man, not because he's a fan and not because he was being rude, but because these people were being rude to him, to even question his gender, his sexuality, and to just rip him to shreds over wanting to just see two art pieces switched. It was something as simple as that. And so I think that's why Doja Cat came to this man's defense, was because you never know where someone is mentally. The things that these people are saying to him over the internet could well, in fact, hurt this man mentally, and he could end up hurting himself. And it's all over the words of Nicki Minaj's fan bases. Over Nicki Minaj's fan base. So, do I feel like Doja Cat should have been attacked? No. There's a lot of misunderstanding that goes on, especially through social media. Coming up, we're going to talk about Jussie Smollett and why he is currently in the news again. All coming up right after this break. Stay tuned.
Always on the go, but the day just won't be one without your Hollywood fix. Let Golden State Media Concepts Entertainment Podcast take care of that. Jordan and Keith is Entertainment Tonight meets Access Hollywood.
I'm Jordan. The guy laughing, that's Keith.
Yeah, I'm Keith.
An all-inclusive look of pop culture.
Welcome back. Before the break, we were talking about Doja Cat and how she felt the wrath of the Barbs, aka the Nicki Minaj fan base on Twitter, because she wanted to come to the aid of someone who was being maliciously attacked by the fan base. And she was also talking about how this could possibly, and I was also talking to you guys about how this could possibly, hurt someone mentally because of these allegations of being rude to a celebrity's fan base. But right now I wanted to switch gears and I wanted to talk about Jussie Smollett. For those of you guys who do not know who Jussie Smollett is, he is a singer/actor. He was best known for being on the TV show Empire. Jussie Smollett, he actually put out a lawsuit against the city of Chicago, and that lawsuit was thrown out by a federal judge on Wednesday, April 22nd. The district judge, Virginia Kendall, dismissed Smollett's lawsuit that accused the city of Chicago of malicious prosecution in their conclusion that his claim of being the victim of a racist and homophobic beating was a complete hoax. Attorneys for the former Empire star filed a lawsuit. Attorneys for Jussie Smollett filed the lawsuit in November of 2019 after the city of Chicago sued him for $130,000. They were seeking reimbursement for the overtime paid to police officers who were involved in investigating the alleged January 2019 attack on Smollett. Judge Kendall said that Smollett could not continue with a malicious prosecution claim until after all of his legal proceedings have concluded. So his legal proceedings against him included the 6th count of indictment from February 2020 for allegedly lying to police after the attack, and there were some more things as well. Judge Kendall maintained that the Chicago Police Department was maintained to bring Smollett to justice, quote, for a crime it had a probable cause to think he committed, end quote. Smollett claimed that the two men attacked him in January of 2019. The actor, who is openly gay, claimed the masked men beat him, tied a rope around his neck, and berated him with racist and homophobic slurs. The Chicago police said the attack was staged and charged Smollett with making a false report. The original charges were substantially dropped with little explanation from prosecutors, but were refiled in February of this year after the appointment of a special prosecutor. So what are my thoughts on this whole thing? I just think it's really messed up, okay? So like Jussie Smollett, I used to like Jussie Smollett. I'm going to go on and admit that. I loved him on Empire. I thought he's a very handsome guy. I mean, we all know this. Come on, it's Jussie Smollett. I remember him on The Mighty Ducks. So he's best known on Empire, but he was on The Mighty Ducks. And I actually have that movie somewhere on cassette in my mom's storage. It's somewhere. But I just hate to see someone who is obviously talented just have that all ripped away over a lie. And something that could have helped someone who is going through the exact same thing. Someone who is African American and who is gay, getting these things on an everyday basis, bringing light to that, to the fact that there are people out there who have to go through that, who are, being called out of their name, who has to deal with homophobic and racial slurs because of what they were born as, okay? They were born as an African American male who happens to also be gay, okay? So this is why, I'm so upset with Jussie about that. In his mind, he feels like he has not lied. This has actually happened. But reports have kind of shown, your receipts aren't adding up here, buddy. They're just not adding up here. So what do you do from there? No one really knows what to do from there. So especially because he decided to file something against the city of Chicago. The same people that were obviously trying to help him out. And then all of a sudden, this is a racial and homophobic hoax that he's still going with, that he's still claiming that it happened. And I believe this year, there has been a whole report, a whole investigation on the two guys that said that, came out that these guys did it. And it turns out that one of the guys and Jussie had a whole, intimate relationship. So I think there's something in Jussie's mind that is blocking him from the truth. And that truth was he made this whole thing up. And, instead of being a man and saying, you know what, I did it. I wanted to bring awareness to certain situations, or maybe, why ever he did it. I think he just didn't, say what he's still trying to play it off like he didn't know this. And speaking of Empire showrunner Brett Mahoney talks about the musical drama series coming to an end and possibly having a spinoff around Cookie Lyon, aka Taraji B. Henson. And they were also saying that Jussie Smollett is not going to be a part of that series. So Empire, as we all know, has been on TV for about 5 years now and is now officially coming to an end. Mahoney said, quote, I think it's a fulfilling finale in the sense that it has the spirit that we want. But no, it's not completely fulfilling because I do feel there are elements, for instance, the who blew up Cookie's car, who shot Lucius, that we were not able to completely fulfill in the finale, end quote. The show came to a close with 6 seasons, with the final season ending 2 episodes early due to the coronavirus pandemic. I want to see Jussie Smollett prosper in life. I feel like this is a bad, it's bad. It is. It's bad. The whole thing is bad. I think he even knew it was bad. I think he's trying to save his face talking about Jussie Smollett here. I feel like he's trying to save face on, the things that he has done to try to bring his name out into the limelight. Maybe something like this did happen, but it didn't happen on the same day. Or, maybe maybe the whole thing was a lie. I mean, we never know. Our facts are telling us that this is a lie. However, Jussie is really standing by this and saying, no, this really happened. This alleged assault, these homophobic and racial slurs really did happen. And in this case, this really divided a lot of people. This divided not only America, but this divided people, racially. A lot of Black people are saying, this is not right. This actually happens to a lot of people, and not only Jussie. And that's the same thing for people who are homosexual. Things like this really happen. People of color who happen to be homosexual really have to deal with homophobic slurs and racial slurs. So again, by Jussie saying this, he has created an even bigger problem than he thinks of. So maybe in some way he is a little embarrassed, and that is why he put that lawsuit up against Chicago. And in this case, I think Chicago is just done with Jussie. And they're saying, you know what, we're not helping you anymore. You better be happy that I'm throwing this out and not throwing you in jail. And in this case, I feel like Jussie needs to stop trying to save his face and just realize you messed up and go sit down somewhere. It takes no money to go and sit down somewhere. He's already in the hole for creating something that no one asked for him to create just so he could be trending, or just to trend a show, I guess. And in this case, I feel like it turned around and bit him in the butt, because now Empire is talking about having a spinoff with Cookie Lion, and he is nowhere in the mix of being in the spinoff. So not only did he mess up his money, he messed up his reputation, and he messed up thousands of people who are going through actual racial slurs, racial, assault, and homophobic slurs and assault against them. So not only are these people's stories not going to be able to be told, but now people are going to question if those people are actually telling the truth or if they're pulling a Jussie Smollett. And with that being said, that is the end of this segment right here. In the next segment, we are going to talk about Beyonce. Yes, Queen Beyonce. I just mentioned her, talking about the barbs and everything, but Beyonce has always been someone who I looked up to because of her work ethic. And we're going to talk about Beyonce in this next segment and all that Beyonce has done. All of that coming up in this next segment. Stay tuned.
The GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast takes you on a journey of exploration. We'll discuss tried and true methods alongside the latest trends of how to best live your life to its fullest and happiest. From psychology to meditation, science to self-help books, the GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast will help you to discover what makes you happy and how you can live life being the best you possible. Download the GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
So why am I talking about Beyonce today? Our girl, Beyonce, Her Bay Good Foundation donated $6 million to help fund mental health services amid the coronavirus outbreak. Beyonce and her foundation, Bay Good, has teamed up with Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey's Start Small to help financially support mental health facilities and services through a partnership with UCLA, according to Gossip. So and you know what? I have seen Jack Dorsey's name a lot, and I've also seen him, partner with Rihanna to help women and to help people in general dealing with domestic violence during this pandemic. So he is a man who obviously knows the outside world. He doesn't just think of himself. He thinks about people. He knows during this pandemic, there's a lot of mental health that is going on here, and a lot of people are dealing with mental health, and being cooped up in the house and just having that said mental illness, it really can take a toll on someone. Me dealing with anxiety. I've had so many anxiety attacks in this house. It's not even funny. And, dealing with people also who have to deal with domestic violence, how they are going to receive help, being stuck at home. Okay. So going back to Beyonce, the key national partnership comes as a collaborative effort, the National Alliance in Mental Illnesses, which is offering funding to several cities, including New York, Houston, New Orleans, and Detroit. Beyonce's Be Good recognizes the immense mental and personal health burdens being placed on essential workers during the COVID-19 pandemic. In our major cities, African Americans comprise a disproportionate number of workers in these indispensable occupations, and they will need mental health support and personal wellness care, including testing and medical services, food supplies, and food deliveries, both during and after the crisis. I personally like the fact that Beyonce is doing this. You never really see Beyonce's name in a lot of mess. People like to bring her name in a lot of mess, and obviously we heard a lot of things about the Beehive that isn't so great, but Beyonce as an actual person, she's not really on social media a lot, and whenever she is on social media, you have the good and you have the bad apples coming in to dissect everything that Beyonce does. But with that being said, I don't think that this is bad at all. I think this brings more awareness in African Americans going to go and get mental help, okay? All right, and I wanted to end that off to talk about, these celebrities that are doing their best to help people during this COVID-19. We're all trying to make sure that we can get back out into the world and that we're not being quarantined, but we're also trying to make this world a little bit better by showing each other a little bit of love during our social distancing. So with that being said, this is the end of today's social media news podcast. Once again, I am your host, Shamaria Jackson, and you have been listening to the GSMC Social Media News Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. At this time, I would like to ask that you please remember to subscribe to the show and write a nice review, because that really helps us out. Also, be sure to follow us on all of our social media handles, including Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I would like to thank you, and I want you guys to have a good day, a good night, and everything in between. Bye, guys.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Social Media Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.